The world's a dangerous place. Get the industry's original and most trusted laser sighting system from Crimson Trace. A laser and light systems will enhance your effectiveness and help keep you and your family out of harm's way.
A terrorist shooting in California, and politicians want American gun owners to pay the price. Today on Gun Talk, Tom talks with tactical trainers about what you should do if caught in a public attack. Plus, the head of a national gun rights group details the failure of the expanded background check. And we take up the call to put a rifle behind every blade of grass. The terrorists are here. Are you ready? Let's talk about it. Call now at 1-866-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
It is I, Tom Gresham. It is Gun Talk, and we have gathered to talk about the obvious thing this week. We had a great lineup set up for you for today. And on Thursday, I said, call them all and tell them we are rescheduling everyone. All the folks we had lined up to be on the show today are not going to be here. And so we started calling other people and said, okay, we're going to talk about San Bernardino. We're going to talk about the mass shootings. We're going to talk about the attacks. We're going to go deep into this. We're going far into this. It's going to take some time for us to get through a lot of subject matter today. I hope you can stay with us through the whole thing, because the things we're going to discuss could save your life. They could save the lives of your family. I am not going to go to geopolitics today. Others can do that. We have clearly a terrorist attack in California. We have a president who will be speaking to the nation tonight at 7:50 Eastern Time. We will either get nothing out of it or nothing that's good for us out of it, those who own guns responsibly and legally. And a lot of people, well, let me give you an example. Wednesday evening, had a pizza delivery guy in his 50s, came to our house, and he just starts off with, I've never owned a gun before in my life, but I think I'm going to buy one. A lot of people. A lot of people have gone there, and you know why? Because people inherently have, at least a lot of people have, a really good BS filter. And they look at that and they go, I personally can't do anything about the geopolitics. I can't do anything about stopping people at the border. What can I do? I can protect this circle around me. I can react at least to this circle around me, whether that is a 2-foot circle or a 20-foot circle or a 20-yard circle. It's a circle around myself. It's around my family. That's what I'll be doing. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And if that interests you, and I submit that it should, you're going to want to stay for the whole thing. I throw this thought out just to start it out. And you may have some friends who are saying, oh, yes, we have to do something about the guns. Really? Okay, here's what I throw out to them. Here's the situation. You're in a room with a bunch of people. Somebody kicks in the door and starts shooting people. It's killing one person every 5 seconds. He will get to you in 20 seconds. Would you rather have a phone, a cell phone, or B, a loaded gun? Follow-up question. You're in a room with a whole bunch of children. Because you see, some people will actually say, no, I'd never shoot somebody because they don't value their lives that much. Sad. But now you're in a room with a whole bunch of children. Same guy kicks in the door, starts shooting children, one every 5 seconds. Would you rather have a cell phone, or B, a loaded gun? And if the answer is not B, it is time for you to resign from the human race. There's been a lot of talk over the last few days about what was legal. Were these guns legal? This is California. What are the California laws? Well, first of all, it probably doesn't really matter because legal has nothing to do with it because they break the law. But a guy who is a lot closer to all of this than I am and is very knowledgeable about California gun laws and also reactions and has a strong political background. He knows how they react. Gene Hoffman joins us from the CalGuns Foundation. Gene, how are you, sir?
Just fine. Good to talk to you, Tom.
All right. I mean, you have been living this. You're right there with all of this going on. And I guess let me just first ask your overall reaction to now we are 4 days into this. What are you seeing locally? What's going on?
Well, I think there are three things that are really come to mind when you ask that question. Thing one is I think there's an elephant in the room that when we think about terrorism, the likely targets for a terror attack in the United States by either domestic sympathizers or actual ISIS folks correlate, unfortunately, almost perfectly with states that won't issue on a shall issue basis. So, the first line of defense in New York, Massachusetts, here in California is just not available.
It's been stripped away.
The second thing, though, is, go ahead.
No, say that first line of defense has been stripped away in those places.
That's right. I mean, we only have, 70, 80,000 carry licenses in a California state where we have, 33 million people. Certainly varies by county, but unfortunately Sacramento isn't the county that ISIS wants to attack.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
The other issue here is, one of the scarier things, I think we all have to be very realistic about this, is to date, when we're usually talking about these mass casualty incidents, these mass shooting incidences, we're talking about murder-suicides. We're talking about someone who is, mentally ill and wishes to go out in a blaze of glory. And, that adversary is a lot easier for the average guy who carries a gun day to day to deal with. Now we're talking about Paris and we're talking about San Bernardino and the, types of situations you're in. You're talking about different people that, need a hell of a lot more training to have a chance. And by the way, it may not be a chance to survive. It may only be a chance to limit the damage.
Right. Well, to that point, let me make sure that people understand what you just said, because there's a lot in that, and that is the chance to eliminate or reduce the mayhem, the carnage, but maybe no chance to survive. What you're really talking about, Gene, is a Flight 93 mindset, which is we know we're not going to survive this, or it's at least highly unlikely, but we're going to do everything we can to reduce the amount of mayhem and carnage. We're going to take this plane down with us in it.
That's exactly right. I mean, compare that to like Clackamas, which happened a couple of days before Sandy Hook, where, a concealed carrier pulls his gun out of his holster and the shooter, it becomes not a mass shooting incident because he only shot two people and himself when he saw that gun. This is not what we're talking about. No,
in these things, you're going to have to shoot them. You may have to at least incapacitate them or probably kill them, which I'm going to get out of the way and let you get to your third point before I comment on the rest of it.
Well, and look, my third point is, we just saw one of the worst domestic terrorist incidents occur here in the United States in California, where California has absolutely every single law that any anti-gun rights individual has ever come up with short of confiscation, and it had no effect. I mean, these people weren't even on the watch list, which, please don't get me started about being unhappy that domestic surveillance doesn't actually find the people communicating with terrorists in foreign nations.
So everything that's being proposed on a national level, which they say, well, this is what it's going to take to reduce gun deaths, reduce gun violence, et cetera, you already have in place in California. And actually, you have even more there than they're actually calling for at a national level. You have, in fact, waiting periods, which we haven't seen in the rest of the country in a long time.
Oh, we also have 30-day one-gun-month rules, which means that our two people down here in San Bernardino took more than 30 days to go amass these various firearms. I mean, the issue here is, and I think Paris puts the lie to all of this, French gun control makes everything in America look lousy. And, but yet then you might as well have a machine gun, correct?
Sure, exactly. So on the ground there, you are a follower of the media. I'm seeing even the media shifting and getting further apart. One group saying, well, we have to do something about guns, but a significant portion of the media going the other direction, saying clearly gun control isn't the answer here. And maybe, actually, I was just watching Judge Janine on Fox saying the solution is, at least on an individual level, you have to get a gun and you have to learn how to use it. You have to be prepared.
That's right. And I think that you said it well earlier when you said that people's BS detectors come off here. I think in the initial moments after this event happened, when people were thinking that maybe it wasn't terrorism, you start making, that usual path of questions of, well, what would work? And of course, the answer is California has all of it. It doesn't actually make much of a difference at the end of the day. But then once you find out it's terrorism, it's politically convenient for certain folks out there to try to say that it's about guns, because then they would otherwise have to face that all of these restrictions on our liberties and, half measures about dealing with people who want us dead would be a political failure for them.
Well, exactly. So what the president is going to speak to us tonight. Any guesses on where he's going?
I assume that he's going to talk about how he's going to do executive actions on gun control, because those executive actions would, for example, be probably unconstitutional and even illegal under the existing statutes. But ignoring that, he wants to have it so that if you're on the, and this is important, terrorism watch list, not the no-fly list, which is a much smaller list and is probably both unconstitutional, that you couldn't buy a gun. Well, the problem is, of course, that these two weren't on either list.
And we don't know how you get on the terrorist list. You don't know if you are on the terrorist watch list. You don't know how you can get off. And, the landscape is replete with examples of mistakes where, whether it's a 6-year-old on the terrorist watch list or Teddy Kennedy on the no-fly list. And so what he's saying is, you should be stripped of constitutional rights because some nameless, faceless bureaucrat chooses to put you on a list and may well have made a mistake in doing so, but you don't have any way of challenging that.
That's right. And look, having some experience with this, with crypto export controls and those kinds of things, the current chairman of Microsoft was on that list for quite a while.
Really?
Yep.
Well,
how dare you have a relatively common name?
Ah, that's right. Mistakes. Okay, now you couldn't buy a gun because you have a name that's like somebody else's, and heck, we'll just put them all on the list. Let's be extra safe by stripping all of them of their constitutional rights. Gene Hoffman, thank you so much. CalGuns Foundation, great group. You guys, you're the go-to group where I tell people, find out what's going on. People say, well, I need to get involved in California. Well, here's your group, CalGuns Foundation. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Tom.
All righty, 866-TALK-GUN. Have you been to a gun store in the last 2 days? A lot of people there? Thinking about buying a gun? Thinking about buying some ammo? What's the president going to do tonight? 866-TALK-GUN.
The Black Hills. There's nothing like it on Earth. The kind of place where characters become legends. Wild Bill Hickok, Crazy Horse, Calamity Jane. Pick any part of the world and you'll find people go there to make it their own. But this is where people come to get made. This is the place that made the people who make the best ammo on Earth. Black Hills Ammunition.
The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently. When it comes to personal protection, nothing beats a Bodyguard. Choose the lightweight, compact, and concealable Bodyguard 380 pistol or the Bodyguard 38 revolver, both with a built-in laser sight. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently.
You may be a new shooter, a longtime gun owner, or even a police officer or soldier. No personal defense handgun is fully equipped without a Crimson Trace laser sight or light. Get the confidence and reliability you need to protect family, home, and country. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our new laser training video, The Laser's Edge, Crimson Trace.
You're at a gun store and your phone tells you about hot deals. Want to know about special offers? No problem when you have GUNDealio, the free app for your smartphone. GUNDealio delivers the latest deals on guns, ammo, and extras direct to your phone. Don't overpay for your shooting gear. Get GUNDealio. It's free at the App Store and Google Play. Trigger the deals with GUNDealio. GUNDealio.com.
The Ruger American Rifle is a 100% American-made firearm that offers outstanding performance at a great price. Available in standard size and compact models, it features power bedding integral bedding blocks, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, a flush-fit 4-round rotary magazine, and a 3-lug bolt with 70-degree throw. Compact models feature a shorter length of pull and a shorter barrel for a reduction in overall length of more than 5 inches. The Ruger American Rifle, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
In the fight for gun rights, we need ammunition, intellectual ammunition, and no one does it better than researcher John Lott, author of More Guns, Less Crime. John created the Crime Prevention Research Center to counter the junk studies being done to push gun control. But he doesn't have the big bucks of billionaires like Michael Bloomberg. All he has is us. So I'm asking for your help. Go to crimeresearch.org and donate what you can. This research makes all the difference. People ask what they could do to help preserve the Second Amendment. Honestly, this is one of the best moves you can make. If you can give a lot, that's great, but even the cost of a box of ammo helps. We need John Lott's intellectual ammunition. Go to crimeresearch.org. It's time to step up. crimeresearch.org. All right. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here, by the way. Colt is still doing its giveaway. I need to remind you of that. If you go to guntalk.com/win, you get a chance. You can enter for a chance to win a Colt 1911. Great gun. Also, of course, download the GUNDealio app. This is the time of year. We're sending out alerts and messages and savings all the time. So put the GUNDealio app on your smartphone. Okay. How many times have you heard me say this over the years? Over and over and over again. I can tell you a lot of things about self-defense with a gun. One thing I cannot tell you, and I freely admit I borrowed this from Clint Smith, I cannot tell you what the threat will look like. I can't tell you if the threat's going to be tall or short. Can't tell you if it's going to be a man or a woman. Can't tell you if the threat's going to be black, blue, green, yellow, polka dotted, or any other color. Can't tell you if the threat's going to be 18, 88, or 8 years old. If you have it in your head, any kind of image of what the threat will look like, it will slow down your reaction time when the threat doesn't look like that. Case in point, a married couple, a man and a woman comes in to shoot up the place. Will you be delayed because you never imagined you had that intot thing going? I never thought of that. Or have you, in the comfort of your easy chair, played this over and over and over, which is the only intelligent thing to do, which is the threat could look like anything. The threat can be anybody. What will I do if? What will I do when? And when you put your gun on every day, don't say this may be the day. When you put your gun on every day, you say this is the day it's going to happen. Why? What's the difference? The difference is you're putting it in your head. This is it. This is the day. I know this is the day. And so I already have made the decision I'm going to react. The reaction time of, oh, wow, what's going on? Oh, my gosh, I'm surprised. That may be all the time you had. I know there were people who said, oh, Tom, really? When I started talking about We know that this terrorism is coming over here. We know it's coming here. I actually expressed surprise for a number of years and said, I don't know why it hasn't come here yet. We have soft targets everywhere. We have government-mandated soft targets where you are legally prohibited from protecting yourself and your loved ones. They're called gun-free zones. And I said some time back, I have changed what I carry. I love my 1911s, but I carry a high-cap 9. Why? More ammo. As my friend Greg Lappin said, here's the scenario. You come to your house. Your loved ones are in there. One or more bad guys are in there. You have 1 minute to get in there before they start killing your loved ones. We don't know what the threat is in there. You now have your choice of a single stack 45 or a 17-round 9mm. You can have only one gun and no extra magazines. Which one will you pick up? So as I speak to you today, as I'm sitting here, I am wearing a high-cap 9 and an extra magazine. And I may go to carrying a second magazine. Paranoid? I don't know. When those bastards came into that place and started shooting it up, you need to be able to keep the fire coming because they're not there to commit suicide, as Gene said. They're there to kill a lot of people. They weren't, media reports aside, they were not wearing body armor. They did have on vests where you stick, basically a tactical vest where you could put the AR-15 mags in there. And those actually will sometimes turn bullets. That's why you need a lot of bullets. But they weren't wearing body armor. Most are not. And it may take a lot of rounds to put them down, or at least to hold them down. In my piece in the Washington Times on Wednesday, oddly timed, I talked about the stopwatch of death. The number of minutes that go by, more people die. The police in San Bernardino, make no mistake, did a wonderful job. Great response time. 4 minutes. Only 4 minutes. Only 4 minutes. 14 people dead. A whole lot more shot. When seconds count, the police are only minutes away. They did a great job. They were the heroes. We are the first responders. You, me, the people on the scene. We're the ones who are going to make the difference. Prepare yourself. Always prepare yourself mentally and with your equipment.
Sign up for our Gun Talk newsletter and join the Truth Squad at www.guntalk.com. Now, back to Gun Talk with Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
Yeah, speaking of the Truth Squad, I've been getting a lot of emails from people saying, boy, the media is really screwing this up and they're challenging it everywhere. One of the things that the media keeps repeating is 355 mass shootings this year alone. Now, weirdly enough, of course, the real number is not 355. The real number is 4. Well, that's close, right? 355. Weirdly enough, though, the documentation for this comes in the New York Times this week with an article about what is the real number. And they actually ran it down. So the title of the piece is, How Many Mass Shootings Are There Really? By Mark Folman. And it's an excellent piece. It actually documents the FBI stats and the number of public mass shootings as opposed to, say, like a gang shooting, which is not what people think of when they think of mass shootings. 4 versus 355. This is the kind of thing we provide to the Truth Squad. By the way, if you want to stay informed on this, it's difficult to do it on a weekly basis. You need a lot of information. One of the ways you do that is to just follow me on Twitter. You don't even have to ever post a Twitter post. I get it. It just becomes a news feed because we're putting out information there on a regular basis. Lots and lots of information with the sources, links. So if you want to be informed about this, follow me on Twitter. I am at GUNTALK on Twitter. Now, one of the things that I am sure the president will address tonight in his address from the Oval Office comes at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. Of course, he's going to call for more gun control. One of the things he probably will call for is a national, so-called universal background check. He will use the word loophole, probably more than once. Loophole, of course, simply means he doesn't like the law. He would like the law to do something other than what it does. Well, the place where they have had the universal background check for a full year now is Washington State. Joining me to talk about that, the success, failure, or what the results of that are, is Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Hey, Alan.
Hey, Tom. Good to be with you.
All right, so you just celebrated the 1 year, celebrating being with big quotes around it, 1 year anniversary of I-594 in Washington State. That's your universal background check. What has been the result?
Well, the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms has filed open government requests with every city and county in the state of Washington to find out the results of what's happened across the whole state with the enforcement of Initiative 594, the so-called universal background check. And believe it or not, when the returns came back from all the cities and counties for our public records disclosure requests, we found out that there have been no arrests, no prosecutions, and no convictions in the whole first full year that the law has been in effect, meaning it's had absolutely zero effect on crime whatsoever, and it's not locked up one person for violating a law of selling a firearm to somebody who shouldn't have one. And this is what we said was going to happen. We predicted. The other side spent $10 to $12 billion to get it passed by the voters, scaring them and intimidating the voters that, crime is rampant, guns are an epidemic, and we need to do something about it. And so they got it passed, nice and feel-good legislation, and the results are no runs, no hits, no errors, and the other side has been shut out.
Yeah, but the downside of that is you now are living with this draconian law in the state of Washington, which means if I want to loan a gun to my buddy for the weekend to go duck hunting, we have to get the okay from the FBI.
Or you could be arrested, prosecuted, and convicted, but obviously the state has a problem enforcing a law like that because it's totally unenforceable. In fact, Tom, the Second Amendment Foundation went to court to sue to overturn this law, and the judge said we couldn't sue because we have no standing because the likelihood of any of us being arrested was slim to nil. And until somebody actually gets arrested, you can't challenge the law. Which
wait. All right, so let me understand this. So, okay, we challenge the law, which we say is unconstitutional, and the judge says, oh, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to challenge this law because it's actually never going to do anything other than inconvenience people. No one is actually going to be arrested or charged with this. You just got to put up with the garbage in this law, but because you haven't been arrested, you don't have standing.
That's what he said. He said he was sympathetic, but until you get arrested, you can't come to court, which isn't really true because in the Ninth Circuit, the standard for standing on a fundamental constitutional enumerated right is you don't have to be arrested. If this wasn't, the Second Amendment to the Constitution, the judge would have been correct. But considering it's a fundamental enumerated right that's now obviously recognized thanks to Heller and McDonald, that's not the case anymore. And he used a very old case law that the state of Washington presented to him. We're now before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals on the standing question, and I am sure it's going to be overturned and we'll be back in his courtroom. Ah,
okay. The other thing, we have seen President Obama do some interesting things with executive orders, and his attitude seems to be, and frankly it's working for him, is I'm going to do anything I want to do, try to stop me.
That's been his attitude. In all honesty, I think we're going to see one coming up between now and the end of the year. It's basically going to define the occasional firearm seller more as a gun dealer and force them to get an FFL and do background checks on who they sell guns to by executive order. I'm pretty sure we're going to see that between now and December 31.
How about the so-called terror watch list, where for doing something you didn't know about, you get put on a list that you haven't been told you've been put on. You don't know when you're put on it. You don't know how to get off of it. But you would be stripped of your constitutional rights because some bureaucrat put you on the list. Is that something you think he's liable to try to do through executive action?
If he does, we have a good court case against that. I think we can overturn that very quickly in court and get a injunction against it. But Congress just missed voting on that. Significant that virtually every Democrat voted for it in Congress this week in the United States Senate. It's crazy. There's over 700,000 people on the no-fly list. Obviously, the government is not tracking 700,000 terrorists, or we'd be really in bad shape.
Right.
People like Senator Ted Kennedy have ended up on that no-fly list. When you get on it, you don't know how you got on it. You don't know how to get off of it. There's no due process whatsoever, and that's the problem. If they come up with a law that engage due process, let you know you're going to be placed on it, and give you a chance ahead of time not to be onto that list, I don't think it would be a problem getting it passed. But that's not what they want to do. What they want to do is give authority to the Attorney General of the United States to single-handedly put anybody they want on this list and disqualify as many Americans from gun ownership as possible. And that's what our concern is.
And for those who think, well, yeah, okay, but they're probably not going to misuse it, I want to point out, for the first time in decades, the New York Times had a front-page editorial this week calling for gun confiscation. So I want people to understand where the mood is, at least among the far left. It's not that, well, we should regulate guns or we should even ban the sale of certain kinds of guns. We have now openly admitted what we always knew they wanted, which they are openly calling on the front page of the New York Times for confiscation of guns.
That is definitely true. And it's not that they fear of misuse. Let's look, the administration floated the trial balloon of trying to put people who are on Social Security disability onto the no-buy list to be able to get a gun. And look what they've done to our veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan by denying their right to purchase a firearm because they were in combat and might be under stress. Any way they can disqualify more and more people is what they're trying to do.
I mean, their goal is truly, they think the fewer people who have guns, the better, and they will do anything and everything to do that. Well, we'll be watching tonight, see what our imperial president suggests. It's going to be interesting. Alan, thank you for your background info on the universal background check. It's exactly what we thought it was. It's a big nothing burger, except that, of course, it puts us all in jeopardy just for loaning a gun to somebody. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All righty. 866-TALK-GUN. We have folks on the line, but we do have room for you. What was your initial reaction when you saw all the news about the terror attack in California? And I guess part two of that is, to what extent has it caused you to review your own security measures? What have you done about that? 866-TALK-GUN.
In the field or on the range, you need a trigger you can trust. For over 60 years, Timney triggers have been trusted by hunters and shooters everywhere. A Timney trigger could mean the difference between a great shot and a miss. Timney triggers are proudly made in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. To order, go to timneytriggers.com. That's TIMNEY triggers.com.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. Shopguntalk.com.
Who will you trust with your guns and valuables? Liberty safes are the best built and most secure safes on the planet. They sell more gun safes than any other brand. It's about trust earned through performance. If your Liberty safe is damaged by fire or attempted break-in, they'll send a new safe right to your home. Protection from thieves and fire. Trust the #1 maker of quality gun safes. LibertySafe.com.
Behind every revolution is a patriot. Just as this great country was founded on the ideals of many, the new Mossberg Patriot is the sum of all that came before it. Reliable, timeless, built to last. The classic American hunting rifle, with a heritage forged over generations, has come home. Mossberg, built rugged, proudly American.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
If you're looking for a safe and trusted way to sell your firearms, look no further than Dury's Gun Shop. I trusted them to sell my dad's collection. They built their business for over 50 years on honesty and customer service. Dury's Guns will buy any size collection or estate, none too big or too small. Selling your firearms to Dury's Guns is easy. Go with the pros. I trust Dury's Guns. Dury'sGuns.com. This is weird. Lawmaker who was life member of NRA quits after San Bernardino massacre. Former Nevada Assembly Speaker and candidate for Congress, John Osagura, I probably butchered that last name, and I apologize for that, wrote to the National Rifle Association this week asking them to remove his name from their membership list. That's just weird. You got a national group that promotes gun safety, that teaches gun safety, that teaches responsibility, and this opportunistic politician and much of the media somehow wants to link the 5 million Americans who are responsible gun owners who belong to the NRA with a terror attack. It is their default position. It's the guns, it's too many guns, it's the epidemic of gun violence, even though gun violence is down, 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 down. Murders are down, 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 down. I don't know how they get away with that. Well, yeah, I do too, because the media won't challenge them on it. The media won't say, but you keep saying epidemic of gun violence. But gun violence is half what it was 20 years ago. How do you equate those two? That's a simple question. Even a reporter could ask a question like that. Line 3, Dave's with us out of Fort Smith, Arkansas. Dave, thank you for your patience. What you looking for?
Hey, John, thank you very much. Or Tom, thank you very much. I've listened to you for a long time, and I'm very comfortable with guns. I'm a very good shot. I'm going to buy my first concealed weapon. And my wife's finally on board. She's listened to your show for a long time, has grown to appreciate you. So I'm looking at a 9mm automatic from Sky and a 40 from Taurus, a revolver.
Oh, wait, a 40 caliber revolver?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I may be wrong, but that's what it said.
Okay.
I may be totally wrong.
I don't know what that is. But basically, you're looking at a Taurus revolver or a Sky semi-auto. Okay.
Yes.
What experience do you have with either one? Have you shot with semi-autos or revolvers much? I have shot with both. I'm very comfortable. Okay. Then I will tell you this. It's going to be a real quick answer because I'm up against the clock, but also go with the one that you like, but understand that you need to carry extra ammo with you, not just what's in the gun. Always carrying extra ammo. So if you carry a revolver, you got to carry ammo either in a speed loader or a speed strip. I find it easier to carry an extra magazine. So I do like semi-autos. I like the way they carry. I like the way they pack. At the same time, there are times when I do like a revolver too. But if you're asking me, I'm going to say probably go with the 9mm and get yourself. And here's the deal. With every semi-automatic firearm you buy, get 6 magazines at a minimum. That's at least a start. Be right back. All right, 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. Let's see, Kevin has joined us on line 2. He's in St. George, Utah. Hello, Kevin. Kevin in St. George, you there?
Yeah, how do you, can you hear me now?
I got you now, thanks.
Okay, sorry. Enjoy your show, and love the Truth Squad initiative. And in fact, I sat down to write a letter out to my congressional representatives about stopping the president from executive actions. And I was going to wrap up the letter with, and by the way, gun crime is down 50% in the last 20 years. And if you don't believe it, just ask Tom Gresham. But that's not going to cut it.
No, it's not.
Can you give me a chapter and verse from?
Let me ask you a question. Let me just ask you a question. What did you do to research that question, other than call here?
Well, you had referenced the Bureau of Statistics report on, I believe it was on gun crime. But when I pulled that up, it didn't have 50%, and it wasn't quite the last 20 years.
Okay, all right, here's the deal. This is my really, really quick... First, two things. One, you absolutely must follow me on Twitter. That's where all this information is sent out every day. If you're a True Squad member, you have to follow me on Twitter, because that's where it's all happening. Okay, I mean, that's 10 or 15 or 20 messages a day with links to the sources, and you just start building a file of all this stuff. But beyond that, for research, take your question or do your phrase, 50% drop in gun crime, and copy it and paste it into a Google search. You will get your information. It's an amazing reference, amazing research tool. So, I mean, just in terms of how do you find, a lot of times people will write me an email and ask me a question. I'll just simply copy their question, paste it into a Google search, and boom, there's the answer. And I'm thinking, wow, you could have just put that into Google yourself. But seriously, you've got to follow me on Twitter. I'm at GUNTALK. That's where you get all this information. I appreciate that, Kevin. Deborah's on line 1 out of Manhattan, Kansas. Deborah, got about a minute for her, so go ahead, please.
Hi, yes. Shortly after the attack in California, the Board of Regents, or an entity out of Fort Hays, Kansas, that does the Board of Regents surveys, surveyed all the Regents universities and colleges, the employees and students. And in their survey, they didn't give us very much choice on the police interaction. They basically said, how do you feel the police are keeping the campuses in a gun-free situation? And the thing is, they gave negative and positive for that, but they didn't ask the question, how do you feel the police are doing? They just kind of hedged it in.
So they set it up as a gun issue,
right? And instead of just saying, how do you feel our police are doing? Rather than doing that, they put it into it's like a trick question.
Sure. Well, did you contact anybody about it? Because I would do a pushback on it. Say, look, go back and say, wait a minute, guys, that is a biased question. It's actually a bogus question. It's misleading, and it is unbecoming of university-level research. And I would push back and say, that's unacceptable. Go back and do it again and take out the bias, take out the gun issue. If you want to know how the police did, ask us that. And then, furthermore, take your rage from this, Deborah, and go back and say, now, let's talk about getting some guns on campus here, because we are the first responders. The police show up generally after it's already happened.